I personally would like to see carry, just because we already know what the lane matchup will be. Like between OD, Pango, and Death Prophet, one of these heroes will be your
offlaner.
Your offlane hero, right? So, and I think right now, I know that we want to see FBZ Pango, but I think it's Pango 4 position and either Death Prophet OD 3, and that does, like, they're similar-ish type heroes, right? They're ranged offlaners, basically.
Safe.
Magic Damage Burst. Magic Burst is good against these heroes, and Lucent Beam is good against OD. Right?
Oh,
Long range mini stun.
Yeah, that's good.
Helps.
It does strike to me though that both teams are doing similar-ish strats of like a mid-game timing. I don't see any late game on either team right now. Luna obviously can scale well, but she loses out to some of the bigger, badder carries that Boom could maybe pick up if they want to try and scale into her and go past her timing.
Do you think that's the plan for Boom?
I'm not sure. The DP and speaks more to me that they want to go faster.
Okay.
But it's kind of just on their next pick. Like, they haven't really revealed their overall like strategy yet. What Motivate.Trust have with Luna.
Smart ban. A Lifestealer. I think this would actually been a really legit Lifestealer game. Because I've always been a fan of Lifestealer Death Prophet since when the Infest change came in and you could give HP to somebody, right? It's effectively a save. And so is OD. So they would have been able to kind of like double down on that aspect. Innate magic immunity is pretty good against Luna. The only problem for Lifestealer in this game would be Spirit Breaker, and I think Spirit Breaker has been addressed pretty well by OD, Death Prophet, and even Pango to a certain extent. I mean, the Enchantress doesn't care about Spirit Breaker either.
Phantom Lance for ban. And you were talking about how he's one of the nicer hard carries. He can outskill the Luna. Doesn't fit the tempo that people thought was going to happen, but it's not too bad in that sense. You still have the option of the hardest carries of TB and Dusa.
Yeah, TB versus Luna is still an option.
Lane versus Mars is kind of okay.
I like that much more. I felt like TB might have been a little bit too greedy. This Razor pickup is still an anti-Luna hero, but less chance that you're going to lose your lane. At best, Mars just deals with you by spearing, but won't actually win the lane.
Yeah, if you go passive field build, you're fine. You don't have to max that.
But they're not gonna try and outcarry Luna. They're just gonna try and destroy them. It looks like to me.
Yeah, fight head on, right?
Yeah, they can do Roshan really easily as well with Ench tanking, OD Orb, DP ult if they want to commit that. That gives them that. Motivate.Trust kind of right now lack a way to do Rosh, I would say.
Wonder how Viper does as a core versus Razor. Because you could do, if you're really
like
tricky, right? You could do 3 Viper, 4 Spirit Breaker, 5 Mars.
I would presume in the longer lane it's tougher for Viper to disengage. Like
Maybe,
if it's in the
but
middle lane.
He's got Spirit Breaker to be able to like charge in, so I think if Razor ever ran in.
Right.
But I honestly don't know. It's like, you know, again, both of those heroes used to be mids, and now they're side lane heroes potentially in this hypothetical. So we're looking at either our mid. I hope it's I hope it's a core. I hope it's not their 5 position that they're looking for right now. I hope it's mid lane.
But then the Viper has to be well, I guess you could put Mars 5 as well, actually.
Mars 5, Viper 5.
I don't think they should, but yeah.
And, you know, Mars 5 is an answer to OD, is not. Okay, this
Oh,
is their support. This is pretty big, actually.
That's actually the only support that I would be acceptable of.
It's
like
wild that it actually got to this point.
Yeah, Io Luna. Jeez, that's still available.
I feel like both these teams are gonna like reach 25 minutes and everything is just going to explode.
Yeah.
True SCA fashion.
Yeah, lots of hard farming from Jackie with Io, and then reach an IM timing, BKB, and then hopefully you just find a way to disengage from Tino in fights when he tries to link you up, and it should be smooth sailing for them. I do like Boom's lineup much more though, in general. I just think they're more well-rounded, and I think their timing is easier.
I actually like MTG's lineup a little bit. I think it's easier to play Io Luna. They just literally just farm, and the entire game is on Boom to try and take objectives and pressure the map and take that triangle away from them.
Okay, I love when my panel is divided because no matter what, we're right. So, what's going to happen? Will Boom Esports manage to take this 2-0, or will MTG recover from a really hard game 1 and bring this to a third game of the series? We don't know. But what we do know is that it's going to be an enjoyable game nonetheless, as these teams always bring the highest caliber of Dota. That's why we need the highest caliber of casting, and that's why we got MLP Dota and JohnXfire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Advert+. It is MLP Dota and the return, JohnXfire. John, I hope you enjoyed your short break mid-game there, sir. How you doing?
Doing great, Southeast Asian internet, what can you do? But in time to see the continuation of the series. It's a great series, right? Motivate.Trust had a really good start earlier on in the first game, just kind of fell apart towards the late game. This time around, very different drafts, Mike. We're seeing the Jackie Luna, which you and I kind of commented on. We haven't seen in a while. The last time we saw it, I don't think it did too well. So we'll see if Motivate.Trust can kind of make that work. They've got the combination with EIO. Who knows what could happen? FBZ is on that OD, and last time he had it, they did win, but it was maybe not something he was too comfy with. So we've got to see if that's kind of fixed up here for Boom.
It did look very rocky last time around, but we do have game number 2 underway, so we'll head into that right now and see what the hell is going to happen between these two teams, as I think Motivate.Trust. I mean, you looked at their body language and the cameras during that panel segment where the draft was going on, John. Thank you again, Pythian, for this lovely view that we're looking at, the skybox. Thanks,
Beautiful.
Pythian Lagoon. But with that, John, back to my point. That's a very nice sticker. Back to my point. They look very defeated, John, during that drafting stage. I mean, you look at the cameras, you look at their body language, you look at their faces. No one on Motivate looked very happy.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like they had the scaling. It felt like they had the draft. It felt like, towards the mid-game, they were just finding everything they needed. They had a good net worth lead. They were keeping Yopaj in check. And then just a couple of misplays, a couple of bad decisions, it fell apart. Boom is just the kind of team where you can't afford to make those mistakes, right? Like every single time we've seen Boom, and even Motivate.Trust in the same spot, but Boom more recently, more consistently, just find those openings and play around it. So we'll see. I mean, mental game is a big part of Dota, and I think Boom and Motivate.Trust understand that. So we've got to see if they can bounce back mentally here in Motivate.Trust, maybe look to force a game 3 out. Boom, they have a draft that comes online so quick. Like, the scaling is there for Motivate.Trust with Ayu Luna, but we can't discount the refresh timing for Tino, the Ags timing on the Razor. He's mainly their win condition, as Yopaj is on more of a tempo setter on that DP, which we also talked about, and the panel pointed out as well. So I'm keen to see if Tino can have that runaway start and hit those item spikes to kind of carry through for the team here on Boom's end.
That's the thing. A couple times with Tino's Razor, I do tend to doubt the scalability of the hero, but when he does play it, he always manages to pull through during the late game, at least on this Razor. So we are going to have a look at mid lane first. You've got Gacha Boy there against Yopaj, and again, they talked about shutting down Yopaj throughout this series. I suppose if there's one thing you can do, is run a hero like Viper, who's just guaranteed to win you this mid lane.
Yeah, you can bully out Yopaj. Early levels are a bit tough, though. Like, Viper is not the tankiest here, actually. Only 1 armor, so we saw a while ago, Yopaj with the right clicks was winning the trade because he's got better range, and Gacha Boy's got a kind of gap close to get the poison attack off, which means Yopaj can stand back, Crypt Swarm, bully out the Viper a bit. It's going to be a bit slower for Gacha Boy with those initial levels because of that, and I think even if you're under threat from the Viper, you've always got the Spirit Siphon if you want to run down and threaten. So Yopaj still has some sustain to play with as well. I don't think the Viper is going to completely dominate Yopaj here. We're seeing that in the CS, we're seeing that in lane. It's very even overall here.
Absolutely. Of course, another even lane on top lane. You've got Jackie against FBZ, and they'll both be supported by Q and Tims. Let's say FBZ, he's going to try and get aggressive in this laning stage. Does already have the Arcane Orbs going for himself, so Jackie does need to be careful. But overall, I think the Luna should be just fine throughout this lane.
Yeah, you can play it safe here, stand back, just keep farming up. You can try to be aggressive, like say, playing with the Lucent Beam, playing with a charge, and looking for some greater bashes coming through. But you have to respect the saves, the sustainability of Boom with the Pangolier and the OD. They've got the Astral to save in case a charge comes out. They've got, great sustain and great durability with the shield crash on Tims. And they've got pretty decent damage output as well once they hit level 3. So I think for Motivate.Trust, best play is probably to just take it slow, see if you can find angles for Q, perhaps onto the mid with some charges. I think you'd want to see maybe some early emphasis on keeping Yopaj down to prevent that early exo, prevent the towers from melting in, kind of securing Gacha Boy a better start here.
Absolutely, and of course the last lane, we kind of already briefly went over this, but you've got Boom Booey and Masaros against Skem and Tino. We did talk about Tino on this Razor, obviously a very good Razor player here. Against Masaros on that Mars, I mean, the problem is with static linking a Mars, he can always just kind of spear you away, so unless you time it well, it can be kind of hard to actually make full use of this Razor, as we are going to have a bit of a charge up at top lane. They are going to try and go onto Tim's now, but the Shieldcraft Swashbuckle is going to be there. That'll be more than enough to allow him to get up and salve up. And Q, he does have a salve of his own, but he will hold on to it at least for now.
Yeah, and I like that Motivate.Trust are trying to find the angles, but it goes back to what we said. It's just hard to burst down Tims. If you don't get any lucky bashes following up from your charge, you're likely not going to have enough to kill off the Pango. So it's a bit reliant on luck. FBZ doesn't care too much about the movement. He's still holding lane. He's still finding farm. And as long as your OD will hit that meteor hammer timing, you don't really care if Tims is going to have a bit of a rougher start here. You just want to hit that initial farm for FBZ, and then you start looking for the aggression.
Yopaj, he drops very low mid lane against Garcha. Those poison attacks, they really start to hurt at level 2, so Garcha's taking full advantage, and you kind of went over this laning phase. Yopaj, he's going to try and man-fight this one out with the Spirit Siphon. They're very fire up, but Garcha, he's not going to make it. Yopaj, an absolute giga chat, getting it done. That takes balls, John, to walk up to the Viper like that with that much low HP. In the meantime, top lane, they are going to try and go after Q, and they are going to get him. Another kill here for Boom Esports. As they pick up one from the mid and the off lane, but that mid one, that's going to hurt. In that mid lane, you kind of rely on Garcha to have a good lane this time around, but he dies solo to Yopaj. And now, at least they find Tims on that Pango.
Yeah, it's a bit of bonus for Jackie. It doesn't compensate for the fact that the DP finds first blood. So Yopaj gets the EXP, Yopaj gets the additional gold, he's going to feel very happy, and again, it's just back to the lane. Like, if you try to stand forward as a Viper, you don't really have the best armor, and you still have great magic damage coming through from Yopaj. He understands how far he can push himself with the Spirit Siphon, so it's not always just an instant burst coming through from the Viper, and that makes it a little bit tougher. At the least, though, we're looking at the bot lane, just for a bit. Boomboy and Masa are hitting those spikes on the IO Mars. Like, the sustain they have with Mars IO is really strong. The overcharge just amps up Masaros' damage really well, so you can always kind of try to look for the harassment angle. I think Skem's doing a great job of just controlling the creep wave. Enchantress just gets the enchant creep, shoves out wave with the Wild Wing Ripper to just apply a little bit more pressure and make it a bit tougher for Masa to play. He's not melting too bad, but that is forcing Boomboy to be much more conservative here.
Oh, he gets very low. In fact, Masaros now going to try and run away from the static link. He did have the tether and the salve being used there by Boomboy, so he's going to be fine. Things are starting to get a little bit more heated down in the spot lane, as it does seem like Tino's looking for those openings now to try and make Masaros' life a little bit more difficult. So it can be quite difficult while the IO is still around. Skem will chase him down, but hell, even Skem on the Ench has been having a few issues trying to control this lane. Generally speaking, the Enchantress is usually able to just dominate any lane, but it just hasn't been the case with the IO Mars. They just continue to sustain themselves. And now Skem, he'll go for a bit of a mid-lane rotation, trying to take those stacks away from Garcha Boy, but now Boom Boy's going to cut him off. Charge will be there, but they can't make it in time. So Skem just TPs away, and he's still being a nuisance with that Centaur. In fact, Garcha, maybe he gets a Centaur, maybe he doesn't. In fact, he does.
Yeah, it's a little bit of gold coming out from Garcha Boy that does force Boomboy and Q to kind of show up mid. So they're kind of keeping their side lanes a bit exposed, at the least for Masa. Solo EXP for Mars, level 5 now, not going to be easy to run down. They will look for an attempt, though.
They will. He'll get the heal off. They should have plenty of damage with the Viper Strike, and they do. Garcha Boy able to take his first kill of the game, but make that second. He did get the claim on the kill earlier on against Yopaj, but that was after he died. So it doesn't really count too much. As Yopaj top lane now, he's going to rotate over very, very early on, but you do have that 5-minute siege creep available. And he is level 6, so if he does want to, he can use the exorcism up. For now, he's holding on to the skill point, and it does seem like he's more than happy to just hit away at this tier 1 tower. No need to even pop exorcism, and that's a great sign for Boom. And that's kind of what you want to get done with this draft anyway, is get these early towers down. But now he has the Exorcism available for that mid-tier 1 tower if he wants to go for a very early push right now.
It's going to be dangerous for Motivate.Trust to lose that much map control early on. We're already seeing Jackie playing in the jungle. He does have the Morbid Mask to sustain. He doesn't have the full Mask of Madness yet to make this a quick process. So your Luna's kind of set back from that slower laning start, bottom network core right now, behind even Tino's Razor. So you kind of need a lot more investment onto Jackie to really build him up. And if that movement from Boom is not stopped, if that mid push does come out from Yopaj soon, there needs to be a strong response coming out from Motivate. Like, they've got Arena ready to go. They don't have a blink on Masa. They do not have Relocate up on Boomboy as well, so they can't just jump the backline easily or look for pickoffs. So they're gonna have to find some way of getting in and defending that tower and maybe just putting the bodies forward. They are hitting some early spikes. Gotcha Boy at level 7 is also pretty hard to burst down now and does have a lot of damage coming through with the Viper Strike. So he can kind of trade blows, look to set up for the team if they want to. But I think that lack of initial control outside of a good charge from Q is going to set back their angles just a bit, and that's going to make it a bit tough. If your Spirit Breaker was 6, this would be a lot better, but Q is trying to harass out Tims. It doesn't really get the bashes.
Nope. No 17% bashes here for poor old Q. Definitely a bit unlucky here on the Spirit Breaker so far. I want to go back to the Viper as well, John. I mean, Gotcha Boy, we kind of talked about this, but a lot of your impact is going to be throughout that laning stage. And I've got to say, while he has gotten ahead of Yopaj, I wouldn't say they've really slowed him down that much. Yopaj is only about, what, 400 gold behind the Viper, and in terms of levels, he's actually ahead of the Viper. So you've got to ask yourself whether the impact of this Viper has been more than enough to actually make the pick worthwhile. And right now, I'm kind of leaning towards the no.
Yeah, it's not quite there. At the same time, the Viper does have item spikes still set up, so Dragonlance, maybe a Hurricane Pike, a fast BKB will allow Gotcha Boy to just stand forward, be a secondary tank to Masaros, kind of complement those two big heroes up front, and kind of just give the IO a lot of options to just heal up a big frontline hero, and extend these fights, allow the Viper to shine with that damage over time, and run from there. I think it's not quite over for the Viper to be strong, but that laning impact definitely wasn't as strong as you'd want it to be, though. I agree with your point there. Still, Motivate.Trust have managed to successfully move Jackie into the triangle. They've got some stacks coming through. They have the power treads up. Still a Mask of Madness, but the damage is coming out from Jackie, so should be able to clear out and build up eventually. There are wards watching him. The side of Boom aren't really keen on forcing that fight. This more passive playstyle benefits Motivate.Trust, as again, you're investing heavily into your Luna to scale into the late game. I think Boom might start to consider, you know, looking for the angles to push, looking for some objectives. They're just willing to trade farm right now to maybe hit some more additional items to play with. I mean, FBZ has a free lane top, so your OD is just basically top of network, clearing out every wave. With your Meteor Hammer, that's going to lead to a very fast Ags here for FBZ. So even more control and more momentum. But I do worry about the fact that, you know, they take the top tier 1, they drop some heavy jungle wards, they have vision on the triangle, but they're not taking control of Jackie, and this Luna is actually just free farming all the stacks, no contestation at all.
They don't seem to be very concerned, but you've got to admit, John, I mean, while he is farming, he is still very far behind. I think one of the ideas from Boom is, if Tino can break the gap onto Jackie in these team fights and get the static link off, it won't really matter how much he's farmed, is I think the idea for Boom. As they are going to smoke up as 3 now, and perhaps they will be able to address that Luna problem you talked about. Problem is, Boomboy is going to be around to break the smoke, so they might have to wrap around the long way. So they move up. They've got the vision. In fact, Boomboy is going to back off at the wrong moment because Jackie now getting a jump. They do have Rolling Thunder, and they will pop it right onto that Luna as they try to heal her up and keep her safe, but there's not enough help around. Jackie's just been perma-stunned. Gotcha, he's going to show now to Tino. They'll try to deal with the Razor, but the damage has been sapped away. Tino, he'll go down to the Nether Strike off Q. So it's a 1-for-1 so far as Masaros rotates over, but FBZ is there to save. Tims, he's going to be fine on the Pango. And that'll be it, a 1-for-1 trade. Both position ones going, but Tims, he'll be jumped again. Swashbuckle is available, but the spear is not gonna land. Tims, he is somehow still alive, but eventually does drop. Problem is now you've got to deal with this Death Prophet, but Relocate is out from our IO to get Masaros out. I can't say the same, however, for poor old Q on the Spirit Breaker, as he is gonna drop. So a pretty even trade across the board for both teams. Would you call it more worthwhile for one or the other here, John?
No, I think it's very even. I think for the side of Boom, the fact that they use EXO means that they can't really get a strong push onto mid, but they're still trying. They've got Tino around. FBZ does have Meteor Hammer, so EXO's not the be-all and all for your push, and that will force Motivate to again have to move bodies up, have to defend that tier 1 tower, because if they lose it, their jungle, it's going to be harder to hold. Jackie's not going to find the place to farm, and gets a little bit more awkward. So as long as Motivate.Trust holds on to mid, then it's very even. You're not getting much more from Boom. You sacrifice Tino. He still is working towards his BKB, and maybe it's time to give him a little bit of room to get that initial item up before showing into these fights. Motivate.Trust going to be happy to oblige and hold back and just farm up as well. They're just going to take their time, farm Spikes and Jackie, who is still struggling, bottom 2, right above Tino, but not much better off than him at all in this game. And the side of Boom can actually just focus around playing with FBZ. Like, the Ags is almost done. They've got the Meteor Hammer combos. The only hero that might be hard to catch out is Q with the stat resist, although bot.
Yeah, they've got Scam. Nice setup, but now Yopaj again going to rotate back in on Masaros. This time Boom Bowie, he won't have the relocate for at least 10 seconds. So we'll see if they can buy him the time. They're not dealing with that IO right now, so Boom Bowie, he'll just keep healing up as Masaros now. He's dropping low and does eventually go down. FBZ able to get it. So try for the IO, but he will tether over to Gacha Boy. In the meantime, Tim's very low in HP, was being chased down by Q, but does eventually get the Rolling Thunder. He's going to be fine.
Just a lot of poking and prodding. In that exchange, definitely a win for Boom. Killing off Masaros, slowing down the progression of the Mars into the Blink. Is going to stall out the initiation timing of Motivate.Trust, makes it a bit harder to reach for the softer cores that you might want to prioritize, like, say, you know, Yopaj, or say taking out FBZ before he can get the Astral saves off. I think that's going to be a big part of what you want to do here for Masa. They are playing as 3-down bot. They could look for that shove-in, trade tier 1 bot to kind of open up the map space a little bit more for Jack to farm, and they will do that, but that will give Boom an option to go mid.
Q, he's gone too far. FBZ, he'll Astral up with the Meteor Hammer. They might force this fight. They do get the stun off onto the Breaker. Q barely about to walk away, but no, he'll tick out. It's Motivate.Trust, they have not reacted fast enough. Nice spear out, but that's not going to help your cause as FBZ now. He'll get the Astral out, but the relocate was there. Astral or not, it won't matter. They do at least get Masaros away, and perhaps they can reinitiate and try to force another fight here on Motivate. They've got Q up in 5. They've still got the arena there on Masaros, so they can try to go onto Q, or rather Scam, and they are going to get him. So Scam gets caught out. Mid-tier 1 still stands for Motivate. All in all, not too bad in the end.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good forced fight, even though you lost Q. You, again, defend your mid-tier 1. It's not getting chipped down too hard. It is at less than half HP. So a little bit more of a shove, and Boom's going to have that map control advantage. You're going to be able to keep warding up that opposite side jungle, ward up the triangle, prevent Jackie from farming, but they've shifted down into the bot jungle anyway. Masaros and Jackie taking the camps on the Radiant side. Same thing for Boom, taking control up top to build up on Tino and on FBZ. So the item spikes for both sides are still kind of lining up. Net worth lead not really there for either side. Less than 1k for Motivate.Trust, but it's bouncing around. I think what I'm worried about next is really the items that are being built up. Again, the Ags on FBZ is going to ruin a lot of Motivate.Trust initiation, a lot of what they want to do in these fights. Their control just disappears because of the save potential there. The charges in could just be interrupted by a good Astral as well if they have vision here on Boom's side. And for Motivate, there's no real big items to wait for except for maybe BKBs. Like Gacha Boy's rushing a BKB right after the Dragonlance, so our Viper can stand for it. Will take away the damage of a lot of the heroes on Boom, but Tino's still going to enjoy sapping away. So I think you've still got maybe superior early timings here to play with on Boom.
Well, they're going to try and make a play on FBZ. Spear is there. That'll be a great target to start on. FBZ surely has no way to survive this, and he doesn't. Nice relocate play from Motivate. Help out Q. But on the bot side, who also they found, they've got that IO. With the relocate back, they'll at least find someone to trade with. Still a great trade for Motivate again, as you got to call for a support. You'll be happy for Motivate.Trust with that.
Yeah, they managed to kill off FBZ again, slowing down that key Ags time we talked about, and starting to punish Boom for maybe trying to be a bit greedy on the map, splitting themselves up, not respecting the fact that relocate is there to punish when a hero is alone. And Motivate.Trust are starting to play that run and gun fairly well. Masaros, that should be his blink flying in now. So it is going to be easier for the Mars to just jump in an arena backline, finding some softer targets to open up these fights. That's something that Boom's got to be a bit cautious about. Their own team fights mainly reliant on Tim's rolling in. He doesn't have his own blink up. It's almost there. But that blink disparity might cause Motivate.Trust to maybe look to keep the aggression up, you know, get some action outside. They don't have the best vision to sustain that, but they will smoke up here.
They will. I mean, keep in mind, all these rotations Motivate are making is buying, again, so much time for Jackie to just keep freely farming up as Arena is down. They seem to love going after Skem. They'll take another. And Skem's really the only one showing on the map at all times, so he's tanking the ganks here for Boom Esports. But that is going to open up that mid-tier 1 tower a little bit. So Garcha, he'll chip away. It shouldn't be a full tier 1 though. I think Garcha at some point is going to have to leave, but in the meantime, Motivate, they will take over that Radiant jungle. And they might even pressure the bot tier 2 tower.
Yeah, they've got the damage output with Masa to kind of get that done. Again, with the overcharge running, Masa's damage is pretty darn high and he can shove in. So we'll force the response out. That's buying more space for Motivate.Trust to keep the farm on Jack Boys, to hit that BKB timing in Gotcha Boy. Neither the Luna nor the Viper are being jumped because they are controlling movement, although they'll find Tims.
Yeah, another great charge in from Q with the Nether Strike, but Tims, he's going to be a bit of a tough target to catch as he does get the Rolling Thunder off, and he's out of it. It's a big commitment to try to get the Pango, but they are unable to finish off the job. In the meantime, Boom Boy, well, they know he was relocating back at some point. They will catch him out. I suppose that's the one negative about this combo, is you are probably always going to lose that IO, even if you don't get a trade.
Yeah, and that was a really well-timed Meteor Hammer from FBZ right on the relocate in. Maybe not necessary, they had a lot of heroes around, but that will open up that push onto mid now. And side of Motivate.Trust, Arena's going to be back up, so Monsters can put his body forward. Boom being very cautious about that shove. They know in the bigger team fights, Motivate.Trust does have the tools to fight back, so they're not really willing to overcommit on the objectives. Just again, playing conservatively, trying to build up where they can, force responses out themselves, and maybe look for pickoffs here.
Charge out, Tim's going to be targeted, but he does have that swashbuckle if he does want to throw it out. For now, he'll just tank the charge. Skem on the high ground is going to get some vision here for the side of Boom as Motivate. They'll try to go in, but Tino, he's going to show up. Arena is dropped, but it's quite defensive as Garcha. He's been left behind. Jackie, he'll jump in with the Eclipse. They found at least one on the Viper as Jackie's trying to fight Tino, but the damage output is too much from the Razor. Tino's out of there. Massaros, he's going to be left behind a boot. He'll get Astraled up, and Boom Boy, he's not safe either. Tim's found another. It might just be a full team wipe as Boom Boy still trying to run. Tim's is having a look through that tree line. Looks like Boom Boy has successfully juked him out, but it's a 4-for-0 trade off the back of Skem on that triangle high ground, and they are right into the Roshan.
And that is massive. They take the mid-tier 1. They have the space to do Roshan now. They have a lot of damage coming through with FBZ. The Ags is up now on our OD as well. It wasn't even in that last fight. But double astral charges, a lot of saves, a lot of offensive setup for Boom. Motivate.Trust, they've been really committing onto Skem. You've been pointing it out, Mike. Every single time they've been jumping Skem, he's just not the target you want. Like, you commit Arena for an Ench and you don't even catch the Ench there in the Arena. Just a bit off from Masaros. It gives so many opportunities for Boom to keep playing, and Boom has hit their spike. Like, the Ags on FBZ is big. BKB running on Tino means he can stand and fight. Not a care in the world about the damage or control that Motivate.Trust have. Q could try to bash through, but it's all really luck-based, and you can't just rely on that to break right now. So it's a massive start for Boom now. Motivate.Trust, they're still trying to be aggressive. They're always kind of having to hunt down the Skem creeps because it's giving so much vision out, giving them the information as to where Motivate.Trust would want to rotate it and the angles they'd want to take. They've also gotten a lot of value from their Radiant Ward here on the cliff. It's about to expire, but that allowed him to spot the relocate ganks, allowed him to pinch down the IO every single time and just set up from there. Boom. They've got control of the top part, although.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're getting Skem, John, but this is Skem's game, I feel like. Maybe you don't want to lose that bot tier 2 tower, though, and that's going to be a bit of a problem here for Boom Esports. Skem himself, he won't mind dying. I mean, that's kind of his role right now on the Ench, is to continue forcing Motivate to target him while the rest of his team is able to keep doing what they want to do. And with the Aegis up, they will slowly be able to chip away at that top tier 2. but it does seem like Motivate, they're going to try and force them to defend this mid tier 1.
Yeah, I think that's the only move you have here on Motivate.Trust. You don't really want to fight into that Aegis, but you want to drag them away from tier 2. The TPs are coming in. Boom looks like they might be set up to fight. They've got the blink up on FBZ as well flying through. So it's going to be a lot easier for that OD to look for one target to just meet your hammer down with the Astral. And Motivate.Trust can't even fully commit for the objective, so they're not getting as much out of the map as they'd want to here. Again, net worth-wise, a very even game, Mike. Less than 1k lead coming out from Boom. I just feel like these initial items coming out are a lot more impactful for Boom. Like, when you look at Tino, he's at the point where he's just going to rush that refresh. Still a ways off from it, but once you do have that double static link, double Eye of the Storm, that's when Tino's really confident in Razor, and we've seen that time and time again for Boom. They'll smoke up a Streeto, see if they find something, but no one's in that triangle.
Certainly not. Radiant scan out, but again, triangle is completely empty here for Motivate. I mean, they could still find Gacha Boy as he's heading into that mid lane to perhaps go after that creep wave, but he feels like something is awry. So he sticks around by that tier 2, but they see him now. He's within vision, and here we go. Rolling Thunder does connect. No TP's coming in yet. Gacha, he'll be forced to BKB and just walk away. You do at least get the Exorcism used up. The thing is, there is a creep wave, so Yopaj, he can go onto that tier 2 mid tower.
Yeah, and it's a good smoke dodge for Motivate.Trust. I believe they did spot that out with their Obs Ward by the ramp on a rune. It still loses an objective. They'll try to fight though.
Big charge in, and the arena out, but the Astral is going to save Tino. He'll keep trying. Static Link, it's not going to be enough. Yopaj now, he'll get the siphons going. Motivate, they are dropping, and now the Sanity's out. FBC getting the job done. They got the Yule Scepter. They've got the big target. That'll be Jackie gone to burn. 3 down. In fact, it might be 4. Massaros, he's stuck around to clear out the creep wave. They have no buyback. Oh, they have no buyback.
No. And without the arena, they can't really defend. They don't have arena, they don't have Eclipse, they don't really have the teamfight control or damage to stop the rundown now from Boom. And they're just going to find a mid-racks. They can't take any of the side lanes. Tier 2 still stands up top, Tier 1 stands bot. They can't really try to gun for Megas or even another lane, but this gives Boom such a massive start now. They're widening the lead, they're hitting their item spikes. It's just down to that timing, and Motivate.Trust, they dodged the initial smoke well, but forcing that re-engage like that, just, it doesn't feel like that's the right play, right? Like, you don't have a way of jumping FBZ. You did manage to run down someone else first, but FBZ was so far back that with the Astral saves, you can't burst down to big targets, and sure, you find Tino's first life with Aegis. That's Aegis. He doesn't really mind at all. He comes back in, he already sapped away the damage of the Luna, so even if Jackie's standing and fighting, he doesn't really have that much damage to put and provide in that team fight, and just kind of falls short. Once Yopaj was in with the Spirit Siphon, there wasn't enough burst on Motivate.Trust to handle that. Like, the sustained game from Boom with DP up front is just way too much to handle, I think. They've got to find a way to deal with that, and that's kind of funny to say because they've got the IO. Right? Motivate.Trust are the ones that should theoretically be playing maybe a bit heavier on region, sustaining someone in front line. It just doesn't feel like it. Like, none of the heroes are living long enough to really do enough damage back to Boom in that window.
Boom Esports. That'll be the tier 2 top tower gone. Roshan still a bit away to find out when it is respawning. But Boom, they've already smoked up, and they might run right into Massars. FBC, he's there with the Astral. Immediate charge from Q to try and protect, but they have the Rolling Thunder. They should have plenty of control. Massaros, he's TP'd out. No relocate is there from the IO. So a great relocate there to save Massaros' life. That does mean you're going to lose Boom Boy. But I suppose as long as it's not Massaros, you're happy.
Yeah, man, this ward spot from Boom has just given them, what, 3 IO kills at this point? Always finding out when Motivate.Trust are playing bot. Like, they haven't gotten the reward here. It's just constantly replanted. And Boom's just been playing around that vision really well. I think Motivate.Trust has to figure out that, yeah, that area is actually under Boom's control. They've got good vision there. We need to kind of deal with it. They get a good scan out to find Gacha Boy as well. So this smoke rotation could lead to bigger kills.
Yopaj, he hasn't seen him yet. Still within the fog, Gacha. Oh, he might run right into Tims, though. Tims, I don't believe he's seen him yet either. Yopaj now will definitely know Gacha's in the tree line somewhere. Will chase him down by himself, and eventually, well, they're right next to each other. They might be able to even smell each other here, John, but instead they're going to TP over. to the die triangle, and Yapaj just takes back over the die triangle. That's it. Just no faith that he could find the Viper.
That is interesting. Like, they knew Gotcha Boy used the Nether Toxin. They could have tried to find the angle, maybe force the BKB TP, cut down on those charges, but instead opts to go back to farming, take control of the triangle. This will allow Boom to swing towards the tier 1 and potentially onto that tier 2, opening up the entire high ground. So they can easily gun for mega creeps from this point forward. They don't really have a creep wave for the tier 2 though, as the side of Motivate.Trust have cut down bot, looking to shove in the high ground themselves. A bit of a split push. They'll be able to take care of that wave as well. So they're keeping the map in check, preventing Motivate.Trust from finding too much leeway to get their own objectives going in. Gotcha Boy? Rolling Thunder?
Still avoiding them. Gotcha, he's doing a great job again of just forcing people up top, and you look at that bot lane, they were also pushing it in, but now Yapaj, he's found Jackie with the siphons out. Jackie, he does have Eclipse and BKB, but the Yule Scepter is going to be there. He'll have to TP out, and he should just make it out just fine. Nowhere to get through that. And that's kind of the game plan, I suppose, from Motivate, is they realize they're behind. The best you can do is keep the side lanes pushed out as top lane. Or they miss an arena spear there from Masaros. But back to the point, John. You keep those side lanes pushed out. Boom Esports, they can't go high ground.
Yeah, they're doing their best here in Motivate.Trust to prevent any more objectives from falling on their high ground. And again, they're trying to stall out to get Jackie really big. Our Luna is at the Chrysalis, going into the Ag Shard, so you can start spamming out the Lucent Beam, looking for the crits, and trying to do damage that way. It's still a slower process. And I'm surprised Jackie actually skipped the Hurricane Pipe. Like, he's had that queued up for a very long time. It feels essential up against the Razor. Like, if Tino just gap closes, we've seen time and time again, it's so easy to take away that Luna's damage.
Wrong Thunder. They still no Karchers around here, and this time around they finally got him. He's got a BKB, but can he get it off in time? Tim's will just perma-stun him up. There is no BKB for the Viper. Jackie, he'll try to take the time to reinvade his own triangle, but they're still relocated there. Boom, they'll jump in. Jackie, he's got the BKB up. He'll have to use it again to TP out, and they even used the relocate just in case. Problem is, Boom Boy is probably going to die now. Your Astral's there, Meteor Hammer out. Can they try to force a fight? Maybe they can. Tether's out. Boom Boy, he is still fine. He will still make it. Q now, he is forced another strike to try and survive on his own, and he does make it out to boot. All right. So they don't lose the they don't lose the IO.
It's pretty nice, you know. Boom Boy managing to go home this time. Good use of stalling out time here for Motivate.Trust, but eventually Boom will still find that bot here too. They will smoke up. No wards to find that here from the side of Motivate.Trust, but Motivate.Trust are also smoked up. So smoke on smoke, it's all about finding angles here.
It certainly is. More important for Motivate right now, again, as they are 6k behind. Roshan is up to boot, so a big objective to play for both teams. As Motivate, they cannot afford to lose this next Roshan. Aegis and Shards up. And Boom Esports, they're going to be the first ones to see it. So they'd love to fight first. And Masaros, he might bait them in, but Q, he'll go for a charge. Up towards that top lane. In fact, never mind, he's found Tim's out. But Rolling Thunder, that's just the roll up. Jump in again though, Yopaj. Uses up the SP. Enchant is there, but the relocate from Boom Boy is going to make it so they can get themselves out, collect themselves, and try to go back in, because there's no real choice here. You're going to lose this IO if you don't go right now. Meteor Hammer's off the mark this time around. Boom Boy, he's going to tether. Tims, he is still going though. A big Rolling Thunder connecting on 3 heroes. But can they still make something out of it? Spear is there. It won't really land on much. Rolling Thunder still happening, but nobody being locked down. Instead now Motivate, they'll charge back in onto Tino, but the Yule Scepter again from Yapaj to stop them in their tracks, and now the turnaround. Back on a Masaros, they'll Viper Strike up Tino. Arena down defensively. Is it enough though? They've still lost Q, but they have found out Tims. The roll up again is not going to work out this time. Jackie, he's got the kill, at least in the Pangolier. So another Viper Strike is there. Onto Yapaj this time. Jackie Oh, there's the Exorcism out. They're committed all the way now. Boom Esports back in onto that Viper. Luna is going to BKB TP on. He does not want to borrow this, but Gacha Boy, he cannot do the same thing. They've got plenty of time to go back after that Roshan here for Boom.
It's not going to take him too long to kill it off as well, but the Exo is still running. The damage output from FBZ. Motivate.Trust don't have the spells to fight in that area anymore. They're going to have to surrender at Roche. Big tools for Boom to see the high ground, to take the rest of the objectives up there, take the racks, open up tier 4s, and potentially end the game. I think Motivate.Trust are running out of options to play these fights. They need a really good Arena Spear to come out from Masa, and oh, speaking of...
Masaros being locked down heavily by FBZ, but there's no tower to TP to for Boom Esports. They can't really follow up on this. But they are running their way down, and Masaros does reveal he is still around the area. Line's drawn out exactly where he is, but Boom Boy, he's going to relocate in to try and give him an exit strategy. He'll tether over. TP is there from Boom Boy. Alright, Masaros, he is going to be left behind.
Yeah, I guess that works. They did commit the Rolling Thunder early on from Tim's, so they might just think Masaros has left. He does spot them out with Creep Wave. Will still look to Creep Cut. This is a bit greedy from Masa. He could be punished.
Yeah, he does get punished this time. Meteor Hammer's going to fly in. BKB is there. He'll try to TP out himself, and they should not have enough damage. You'd almost like a basher on somebody, John, but they're all ranged heroes. The only one you can really get it on is probably Tim's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge Tim's if he does go for it. He is looking to finish up his Yules first for that added lockdown and the Rolling Thunder to stand in place. And yeah, they still managed to take the tier 2 anyway. So Boom's still very happy about this end result. And that opens up all the lanes for a high ground push. They've still got the protection of the Aegis here. We've been seeing Tino use his refresh really well. It's just that timing for Razor. Like BKB refresh, Plate Mail, Falcon Blade, Power Treads. You don't need much more outside of the BKB and refresh. Like, you are just set to go. You can just kind of destroy the enemy core by that. At the least, Jackie's got some protection now, Mike. He's got the Hurricane Pike up, so the static links aren't going to sap as much damage away from Jackie. Should be able to still keep some right-click damage for himself and contribute to the team fights a bit better. I just don't know if it's enough, or if this is timely enough for Motivate.Trust to play with. They are 7-8k behind, not the biggest deficit. Your lead here with Yopaj is about 3k over Jackie, so your DP does have one major item over everyone else, and it is really hard to knock Yopaj.
Yopaj is going to try, but he's been caught out. Astral's there to save this time around. Eclipse was committed, but it's doing absolutely nothing. Yopaj, he's still alive. Yulceptor's there. Tino's going to jump in now. Tim's, he's out with the Rolling Thunder, and he's connected on 2 heroes. In the meantime, Jackie, he is running to the fountain, but he's not going to make it out. Gacha, he'll be the second to drop. It's not looking good for Motivate.Trust. They've committed all their buybacks, but that's about all they have. Jackie and Masaros, neither one have buyback gold. And the jump in is there again. They've got Gacha Boy a second time. He just bought back. They're trying to help out with the IO, but Gacha's gone. Boom Boy now, he'll be Astral up to boot. FBZ has been all over them this game, just allowing nobody to get out. That's it, GG, Boom Esports. I can't say it was a convincing 2-0 against Motivate, but it is still Boom, John, and they are still undefeated in the SEA DPC Division 1.
Oh yeah, they stay clean here on Boom. Motivate.Trust bringing up a good fight, especially in the first game. Second game, you know, they draft really differently. They've been really targeted with Jackie. They couldn't really get him the heroes they want. Boom definitely did the research there and just keeping Motivate.Trust away from that playstyle. And it was just tough for Motivate, right? Like, they couldn't go back to their failed-safe heroes. No Dusa, no Wraith King here. And they were forced to kind of flex around their heroes in this game as well. We didn't see the overwhelming start we wanted to see from Gacha Boy on his mid as well, up against a DP. Just way too much sustain to play there, so our Viper didn't really shut that down. And Boom just managed to build up. I have to say, towards the end, we did finally see the Ag Shard on OD ourselves. And you saw it, right? When he imprisoned Yopaj, he still had so much movement speed. He could just run away. Like, how is that balanced? 2 charges of that for saves? How is that even allowed? What the heck?
This is Dota, John. We don't believe in balance, sir. we just, the more broken the better, I'd say, in this game. Still with that, we are going to head off to a short break. But right after that break, John, just in case Tims is watching, this is me, Tims. Hello, sir. Just so you know for next time. But with that, we are going to head off to a short break. And of course, right after that break, we'll be back with our lovely panel. We'll see you then.